How is it going today? Castillo Trading coming to you with another live stream, the first one of 2024. Happy New Year's, everybody. First things first, guys, it's literally an entire new year of trading. It doesn't fucking matter what happened in 2023, whether it was a good year, whether it was a bad year, you can start fresh. Honestly, guys, it's a clean slate. It truly is the day that the year entirely closes and you can forget about whatever the fuck happened in 2023. And so heading into 2024, I do think that it is going to be a massive year for not only crypto but finances just in general. I've seen a couple of people who have talked about just the overall economy and everything kind of breaking down within the world, and they say that it's a pretty big and massive year for finances. Whether people think a recession is going to happen, whether people think that we're going to go back to all-time highs, which I think we do. I think that markets rally like crazy this year, and across the board, across crypto, across regular finance, across forex. I just think that in 2024, I don't know when it's going to happen, right? Whether it be Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, I think there's going to be a lot of shakeouts along the way, but I do think that this year is a very, very key and important year to be focusing on your money. Whether you have a lot of money or not, or whether you're trying to make a small account big, I think that this is going to be one of the biggest opportunity years that we've seen in a long time since COVID. And COVID was kind of hindered by a lot of people being scared, right? A lot of people thought it was the end of the world, and so a lot of people were taking their money out of the markets. They just wanted to be holding cash, and lo and behold, it was one of the most important times to be injecting capital into the market, not taking it out. So I think that this year is going to be a little bit bigger, especially in crypto. I think that crypto is going to offer a massive, massive opportunity across the board, right? Between altcoins, between majors, BTC, Ethereum. Again, can we see some downside before that kind of stuff happens? Sure. And can we see some downside as it goes up? Sure. You know, that's exactly what we try and do when it comes to trading. But let's just kind of get right into BTC, and we're going to talk about NPOC levels, and we're going to talk about, you know, our setups to the upside, our setups to the downside, like we normally do, guys. Please do not be afraid to shoot off some questions if you have them. So we still have some NPOC levels up at 45. Really, this structure hasn't changed since I sent you that NPOC update on Wednesday, right? We still have pretty much a range of highs and lows, and, you know, depending on if BTC goes up or down, we're going to be looking to long and short that. So the first short is going to be, again, that $45,000 area. Now, I don't know exactly if I will short this, just because I want to see how price action reacts when it gets there. Creating these game plans, they're not automatic buy-ins, or they're not automatic sells or bids. They're just areas of interest you want to be focused on, because these offer decent pivots to the upside and to the downside, right? We've kind of talked about that potential. This is the range right here. We have upper limit, we have lower limit, and then we have medium ML. And then we talked about a potential deviation above into that 45K zone, and then a acceptance back into that local range. But again, this is just a scenario, right? Not going to live and die by this. This is just something that we can consider. We have NPOC levels up at 45K that I think offer a decent short opportunity. I don't really think shorting anything here offers anything too good. We'll get into a current range in a second and kind of see how that plays out, and kind of coordinate this current range with Ethereum's current range and see, you know, exactly what I'm talking about. And the next long entry is going to still be the same. We can create this one just because it's a new year, so we'll kind of start something, but yeah, it's the same. The NPOC level down at 41043. That is the next long entry that we are going to be looking for on BTC. This is going to be the one. First setup created on 2024 is going to be long BTC from lower if we get it. So we'll see kind of how things go when it comes to that. Just going to continue through this, but on BTC, this is the next long entry. And then we obviously have our next short. I'm not going to overcomplicate these things, right? We have where we're looking areas of interest to short. We have areas of interest that we're looking at to long. And that's really all that we want to do heading into the, you know, not even the new year, heading into any new day, right? We don't want to overcomplicate things. If we have a higher impulse move, we're going to look to kind of short into that, as it might be a resistance level, and then same with lower. This 41043 I think is a potential to get front run here, and the only reason I say that is just because it hasn't dropped down into that level. And I think there is a CME gap that a lot of people are kind of focused on, like right in here. I think there was a CME gap somewhere, we can look it up, but somewhere like right in here there's a gap, and I think a lot of people are still waiting for that to kind of get filled, and I personally think it gets front run. You know, I've been watching CME gaps for a while, as far as not only just BTC BTC, but for other things, and gaps don't always have to get filled. There's CME gaps on the SPX from years ago that haven't been filled, right? And again, this kind of comes from one of my mentors, Mr. Anderson, True Crypto 26. He's really kind of helped me over the years just kind of understand macroeconomics, right? And so this is one of them. I used to be like very adamant that gaps would get hit all the time. Like, oh, there's a gap lower, it has to go down there. And it would give me that bias, right? And for a long time, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But the reality is gaps do not need to get filled. And so that's kind of the route that I'm going on right here, to kind of think that maybe this gets front run a little bit down here at this NPOC level, and especially down at these lower NPOC levels at around that 38 to 39K. I just think a lot of people want that retest, and I don't personally. I mean, I would love the retest as well, but at the same time, I'm not live or dying by that. I have a lot of exposure to BTC and other assets without needing it to go lower. So at the same time, if it does go lower, I'm happy to add. If it doesn't, we get to go up and kind of enjoy the party. So let's just get into Ethereum here. This is more or less the kind of play that I'm watching for some more upside. So we do have some NPOC prints, right? We do have one at 2348 and 2396. Now this is the area that I want to get a retest of. So these are two local NPOC levels that I want to see hit within range. So again, this is exactly kind of what I'm talking about here. And so I think that a retest of this area makes the most sense. Now within this, do I think a short happens? I think that there's a couple things that we can kind of talk about, right? Especially within NPOC levels. So for me, I think that if you do want to short Ethereum, it should be back up in this area, right? I do think that once we kind of get this retest, this is where you should look to short. Now, does this mean that I'm going to short this? No. I think that it's, again, an area of interest that we need to look into some low-term time frames like sandwich trading and kind of see what is happening with the depths of the bids and what is happening with the depths of the sells, that sort of thing. So this is definitely something that we can consider. Again, I'm not sure if I'm going to short into this market heavily as of right now, but again, we can make a setup for this. We can make our first short scenario on Ethereum for 2024. And then 2020 long, again, so I mean, 1220 long that we created still stays the same. If Ethereum does happen to drop here, 2037 is the area that I think would be a good dip buy opportunity. I mean, looking at just this current range, it kind of shows the same thing. We'll get into some of this in just a second, but down in this lower limit area is something that I would consider. So again, not going to talk about this structure too much. For me, I still think that we have a good target right here of about that 2690. I think that that's where Ethereum's going to be. And again, we have that short-term directional bias of up. So I think, we can get some sort of an impulse move like this into 2690 on Ethereum. That makes the most sense for me as far as a target to the upside. And then also we do have a short scenario up there. We've been kind of wanting and targeting that since the beginning of December. We've been targeting 2690. And so it still stays the same. And this plan is still kind of playing out to this day. Let's just kind of clear some of this up. Organizational skills. This plan is still formulating. We wanted this short entry at 2690 all the way since the beginning of December. And so again, it stays the same. There's nothing that has changed in price action. In fact, it's following our analysis pretty well. It's not following the squiggly line perfectly, but at the end of the day, this is just a rough drawing of what I think is going to happen. A move up to this 2690 area. And again, not going to be an automatic short, just going to be an area of interest to kind of look into and see what is happening on Ethereum, ETH. But I don't think I have much else as well on this. We got the short, we got the long, we have a couple other longs. This one played out really well. Again, this is just an example of why I do love NPOC level pivots and that sort of thing. We did get a retest of this NPOC here at 2173, and we got a nice move to the upside. Now, I was trading this. I know some of you guys were trading this as well, and a great example of why I focus so much on NPOC levels, because they're kind of areas of liquidity within that specific day. That's what NPOC prints are. If you guys have watched my videos or you've been tagging along or this is your first time, these NPOC prints are the most volume that came in on the single day, right? Instead of looking at volume bars at the bottom, I put volume bars on the side, and then these prints are what happened to where the most volume comes in on that day. And so again, that's why when we have local prints to the upside or the most recent prints are going to be here, that's how I get my short-term directional bias that I talk about with you guys. And they can be very effective on finding just an up or down move within that day. So again, this is why I love NPOC levels. So let's see, we went over an example, same short. long. This was another one that was playing out really, really well too. I mean, really, these two NPOC levels that printed down have been amazing bid entries. This is why I create those game plans, is because when something happens and we do have an NPOC print to the downside, most people get very, very bearish down at these prints, down at these levels, and they think lower is coming. If you have a game plan set to kind of long within that 2161, and you kind of stay grounded to that setup, you can get some very, very good entries. And these are just two examples, right? 2161 and 2173. These NPOC prints were both long entries. As you can see, we talked about them. Long entry here, long entry here. That's why I stick to these setups, is because they can find really, really good pivot points. And again, these are just examples of good pivot points recently on Ethereum that we've seen. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I will be updating you in the Telegram. So I'll see you guys in the Telegram, and have a great rest of your Monday. Peace.